Good evening, everyone. This is Insider Series Session 2. A very warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for taking out your time this evening for being with us. For those who are joining us for the first time, this whole session, the whole idea is to create a platform where we all of us can come together and share certain insights, certain perspectives, which are very much needed in these challenging times. And we really appreciate your time, and we believe that the kind of speakers that we have, they are industry leaders, they are business leaders, and definitely they have a very logical and practical approach to what we can do and what we shouldn't do in these times. And that was the whole idea of kind of connecting back and giving something of value back to the community through this platform. So again, a very warm welcome to all of you, and we will be starting off in a couple of minutes. Just before that, a small intro. My name is Sandeep. I'm going to be one of the co-hosts of the show here. I am the founder of KraftJar, which is a creative marketing agency. We specialize in intellectual properties and brand activations and content creation for brands. And with me is a very dear friend and a colleague, Bhargavi. She's going to be the co-host for the show. And she comes from a very strong communications background. She's the CEO of Excel Corporation, and which is into, again, content creation, and is a HR firm, HR consulting firm. And you might have heard a podcast show. She's a podcaster. Her show, please go and check it out it's available on all the platforms. It's called People Who Matter. And Bhargavi, over to you. So let's start.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you for such a warm introduction. And once again, thank you every single person who's joined us this evening, early evening, on this wonderful session. We promise you it's going to be a session that's really going to boggle your mind. Before we get going, there are a couple of house rules to how this particular knowledge series webinar, or a video session as you would call it. So this is an innovative platform, Crowdcast. It gives us a very easy way to interact with you all. So for starters, we would like all of you to please start with introducing yourself. Just drop in a line here on the chat box with your name, your city, and definitely your expectation from this session. So we'll keep that in mind while we take this session forward. Below on your screen, you can see there are a couple of things written there. It's called Ask a Question. So if you feel you have a very relevant question for our guest, please feel free to open that Ask a Question and type in your question and drop it right there. If there are others who think they want to ask questions, and if you feel there's a question that's already there, there's a repetitive question, just go and vote for it. So we'll know that that's the most requested question, and we'll definitely get the speaker to talk about it. Next to it, you have an interesting section called the polls. So we have one poll question we run through the entire session. And this is a poll that you should not miss. So it's very relevant to today's particular content. Do open it up. Do vote for the answer you think is most relevant to you. And by the end of the session, we'll reveal that. Keep the chats going through the session, because at the end of the session, we will give one of the audience attendees to share stage with us to come live online and talk to our speaker. So with that, I think the house rules come to an end. Overall, have a good session. Keep it interactive and keep those comments coming in, because we definitely want this to be as interactive in this kind of a limited space that we all have. Now over to inviting our very gracious, very intellectual guest on the show today. So we have none other than Mr. Indranil Chakraborty. Mr. Indranil is a professional with over 30 years of work experience in reputed organizations like Sony Pictures Networks, Sony Music, Reliance Entertainment, Asian Paints, Mahindra & Mahindra, L&T, and the list goes on. He has functioned in various verticals of the industry across music, film, television, digital, and new media. He brings along a deep understanding of media content creation and consumption across devices, genres, and languages, the various aspects of intellectual property, and the ever-changing scenario of monetization of content. He is an avid speaker, an intellectual, and we are really happy to have him here with us today to share his thoughts and perspectives on the topic of today. So first, I would definitely request Mr. Indranil to be added on to the stage. And the topic that we are discussing today, yes. The topic for today is creating content during social distancing. And with that, I open the floor to you, Mr. Indranil. Thank you so much for making the time today. We know you're a very busy man.
Okay. Thank you, Bhargavi. Thank you, Sandeep. It's my pleasure to be here. It's like really, what should I say? It's really breaks my routine, which is a very good thing. Two, 3 weeks back, we are almost setting into a routine, and we're all
Right,
excited and getting into new work from home.
right,
More often than not, we realize that it's not so easy. In fact, it's more work. Uh,
right.
Everything. I'm sure everybody has gone through a similar kind of an. Now, when we are getting into the rhythm of it, I think these kind of sessions are very helpful, very stimulating, and I love to speak to various sets of people, especially the younger generation who are just getting into the industry. So, welcome all. So let's kick start. How do you want to do it? You want me to
Absolutely.
straight away? Okay, come on.
Right. So, Indranil, one thing I have to tell you, I'm a little scared. I think you don't need hosts for this show. You can have a solo show yourself. I can see the makings of you taking over our spaces very easily. So I'm just going to take another 30 seconds, drop the first question, and get out of here. So the floor will be all yours.
Okay.
Right. Right. So, Indranil, you come from a very interesting business of creating content, and your company specializes in making the same. You've had great experience across, making and creating content in India for this. So, in the present times of challenging issues like social distancing, which is the biggest hit in terms of creating content, in terms of production work going on. Let's start with the elephant in the room. How are you all coping, and how is it that entertainers everywhere are trying to cope with this kind of a situation?
Okay. I think there are two, three key things which are happening,
Sure.
and I think in every industry is going through it. I think the
Yes.
first phase was, when a storm hits you unannounced, you try to duck under and try to figure out like what's happening.
Right.
So the initial days were fundamentally damage control. Okay,
Right.
so as you know that when the production process is on, like how do you suddenly put a stop? There are all kinds of resources, man, machine, everything
Yes.
is there. So I think the first 2 weeks went off on, sort of stopping that machine, and stopping that machinery is not easy. Okay,
Right.
and we were having shoots in all across the country. We were shooting in Bhopal, we were shooting in Cochin, we were shooting in Chennai, we were shooting in outside Mumbai, in deep villages of Maharashtra. So to gather everybody, and the biggest concern at that point of time was actually the safety and the health of anybody and everybody associated with our organization.
Very true.
I think the first 2 weeks was that damage control. It was like complete crisis kind of situation, and we had to. So, but we quickly, fortunately, we production people are used to quick thinking. We're like a military organization where it is sort of it's very hierarchical. One person take a decision and everybody else have to follow it, and which helped us. It was we are like a machine. So we quickly were able to wrap it up by within a week's time. So that was one side, which was fundamentally people. As you know, production processes, we
Right.
employ a hell of a lot of sort of people. Each show of ours will have 200 or 300 people associated in some form or the other. Okay.
Yes.
So first was that the take care of the health and well-being of the people and bringing them back into their homes were of importance. I think that was one. B, which is followed by, other side, you have to do business, is to take care of the client side of it, where you have to you have because there is a platform going on, there is a channel running, they also have their thing. So fortunately, the association, the Indian Film Association, the Producers Guild, and the Television Industries Association, they took some very, very quick calls, and it was very, very needed, about very distinctive, that okay, you have to end shoot on 18th of March. Okay.
Right.
So there was a deadline that, okay, you cannot go beyond that, because all of us will be, would have otherwise would have carried on in some form or the other. So the deadline was 18th of March, you have to stop shoot and bring back everybody wherever to their homes. That is why.
Yeah.
And you know, the next stage is actually the post-production process, which though it happens in a very, very controlled environment, but we know what happened, that everybody had to leave their offices, and you know, everything had to be shut down. I think the lockdown started on 21st. So the call was taken that whatever, for television industry specifically, like you know, whatever you have shot till the 18th, you have to finish the episodes by the 21st in the post production and deliver it and get out. Okay, so that was the next stage, you know, between the 19th, 20th, 21st was the, you have to end the post production process and release everybody from home so that the people can go back home. So these were the two things. So first thing was like a warlike situation, so that's where we had to take care of it, and 1 week goes. I think followed by, you know, what happens that when you know it's okay, it's you stop an activity, but there are a lot of consequences of you know, stopping an activity. Okay, the biggest consequence is actually what happens to the people, you know, their and as you know, the production has a lot of daily wage laborers, there are monthly contracts, there are vendor contracts, you know, there are hundreds of contracts actually we function with. So how to take care? I think Sony as a brand and the industry is overall, you know, took a passionate view about it, very compassionate view about the stuff, and said that nobody should be losing salaries, okay, and nobody should be in the aftermath of it. So I think that was the next stage, was the communication and to take care of that people's wages went in time, and the people's you know, people were told that don't panic, you know, we will sort of subsidize this period at least for the time being. So at that point of time, nobody knew how long will this continue. Even today also, we don't know, you know, how long will this continue. So that was the next phase, is the communication and to make people comfortable into, you know, their basically their payment systems, and there are various kinds, and there are hundreds of them. Be it vendors, be it daily wage laborers, be your own crew people, you know, who are on a per month basis, you know, so on. And fortunately, Sony has a very strong technology backup organization. You know, the backend is very, very strong, where we could push their money into their banks. Okay, and we have been able to do that. So, in fact, as far as the earnings or the livelihood is concerned, it was business as usual. Like, people got their salaries on the 1st of month. We are still in that process about taking care of April now, because April. Beginning we said, okay, it will open on 15th of April. Now that it is on the 3rd of May, you know, what happens. Okay.
Right.
So now I think that thing is, it has become easier. People have also got used to it. You know, communication systems have become streamlined. You know, initially there was a panic. And I must say that, you know, all our employees were in various levels of technological adaptation. You know, there were people who were not used to video conferencing. People were not used to sometimes emailing, net banking, all those kind of things. So there are certain things that the, you know, silver lining in the cloud that, you know, everybody has become very tech savvy. You know, everybody knows how to do video conferencing. Everybody is very well tuned with it. So things are, you know, in a very short span of 3 weeks, I think the learning, the tech adaptation in this country has been phenomenal. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
So I'll talk more about that as we go along. So which is a good thing. Okay.
Right.
So that's the second thing. Now the third thing is where the adaptability and the scenario sensitivity. Okay. Now we are in a phase which has come into an if-then situation. Like, if it opens up on 3rd, then what? If it doesn't open up on 3rd of May, if it goes along, then what? You know, now that all the sensitivity analysis and things, what happens to business, what can be done, what kind of shows to be done, you know, are we now you need to start planning. When it hit us around the 14th or 15th of March, it was like, okay, that you people, you know, as a business people, that's what they say. I can give you a benefit of doubt that nobody could foresee. You know, that's happened in stock market. You know, nobody could foresee in the beginning. But after 15 days of experience, even still today, if you cannot foresee and not plan for it, then you are an idiot. Okay, so now is the situation about we cannot assume that the world
Yes.
will be normal around the 4th of May. This is just
Yeah.
another date, and or India will get back to, there'll be various, there can be various scenarios which can evolve. Now, how do
Very.
you begin the machinery? Now you can plan. Now at
Yeah.
least to my team I have said, like, well, let's think we are a military organization. The army is always ready for the war. I don't know
Right.
when the war will begin.
Right.
Nobody tells
Right.
when the war will begin,
Very.
but we need to be ready.
Right.
So every
Right.
day we almost go through a drill. Okay, now this, the biggest thing which happens with us when we function with Sony people are communication.
Right.
That's the biggest thing, because we are a people organization. Actually, we deal with people. So even in a
Yeah.
shoot, you're actually dealing with people more than
Very.
machinery. You're dealing with people. Even if there's a machinery, you're actually dealing with the vendor. So to keep that communication, that okay, to the artist, to the equipment supplier, to the crew, okay, if 4th of May it starts, then my thing begins on the 7th or 8th of May. Please be ready, make your travel plan. You make special travel plan, precautionary
Correct.
measures, all those hygienic things are there. But the biggest thing is the
Very true.
communication to those bunch of people, to say that okay, be ready the moment I
Right.
say yes, because you will not have time on the 3rd of May then to plan. Then you have lost the game.
Correct.
Okay, you're planning
Absolutely.
now.
Absolutely.
When we are planning, we also don't know that whether it is going to open on the 4th of May, but so be it. Now, if it doesn't open on 4th of May, if it opens on 15th of May, we repeat the whole thing again. But
Absolutely.
that's what I'm sure now people
Absolutely.
know what a military does. They're always ready for the war. Then it's like that. They don't complain that okay. So that kind of like a fire brigade. Okay, they're always
Right.
ready. Okay, so that's the phase we are going on. That's at a more of a business planning, taking care of a business. But now I think the another thing which is going on, which is on the intellectual part of the business, like
Yes.
how much the world is going to change and what the world will look like.
Right.
How much of these changes are actually sustainable? Are they all short term? Are they going to be the norm of the day? Okay, so those
Correct.
are now though that's an ongoing process. People are reading up a lot, and people are trying to put things and trying to get ready. Okay, so what I like, if that happens, the website, if there is a strict behavior change which has happened, then no. So, but yeah, but it will be a new world going forward, and I think the excitement has just begun, and it will be challenging. It will be extremely challenging in the next at least 1.5 years. We
Sure.
need a lot of self-sacrifice, compromise, patience, and all those virtues will be tested, and it really tested to the health. We are all smiling. I personally believe that we still haven't started hearing the bad news. It will begin when
Yes.
people have got back into a little bit of normalcy, when
Yes.
people will actually get hit by the enormity of the problem. We're all smiling. We're keeping up a brave face, but it will be very challenging. That's me.
Absolutely. I think the what you said was so true, especially the last part, because just this morning the World Health Organization head was telling that the worst is yet to come. People have not started realizing it. And as airports will open up again and as work will try to get back to normalcy is when the challenge really starts. So I think it's a apt question to ask, somebody like you, because you're into a lot of production, a lot of people to people interaction with, practicing social distancing at a crew set is probably the hardest thing that anybody can imagine. And even if we talk about content going digital, you still need to create that kind of content, which has to be placed in a digital platform, which has to be done by human beings who have to be in a close contact area.
That's
So, what is the perspective now, Indranil, especially when we're talking about content in this
okay.
perspective?
Okay. Let me just little retract back into in the this the problem about this kind of things. We started jumping too much. I think we should we need to really take a few steps back and
Sure.
start reflecting, learning more. Okay. So let me take you through my, if you can give me a little time and have some patience and just
Sure,
go
of
through.
course.
Okay. Now let's see that the industry we function in. Both of you are a part of the industry. Sandeep, I was seeing that he was an integral part. Now he is. Media entertainment industry, fortunately, it changes much quicker, and it has been changing much quicker. The the influence of technology on this industry has been very, very strong, and I believe that it changes very quickly, and it has been changing in the last 2 decades much faster than many other industries. Okay.
Sure.
So now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because, if this is when I go to colleges, and I always, my favorite question to ask is that, what do you think is the business of entertainment? Like, what is this business of media business? Okay, that's my favorite question. And more often than not, then I realize that people, it's got so many things which influence this, or so many kinds of content which comes out. Now we actually little get confused with this. Now let me put you in a very, very simple terms. What I believe is the business of entertainment. The business of entertainment is actually, the thing is about that, it's an economic term. It's called the free time. It's fundamentally you use the time of a person, beyond their life sustaining activities, which is maybe sleeping, eating, days, traveling, whatever. You have a part of a day which in economic terms is called the free time. Okay. Now, entertainment industry actually uses the free time, okay, by delivering, externally generated content. I'm talking about the business part of it. I'm not talking
Right.
about just the entertainment part of it.
Yes.
Why externally generated? Because if I am singing to my son, it's not a part of the industry. Okay, though he's getting
Correct.
entertained, but he's not, or he's singing back to me. It's not. So it's by consuming externally generated content. Okay, which is delivered through multiple technologies. Okay, there are hundreds of technologies which are used to deliver this content into specific devices. Okay, so that's what the industry is. And if you really look at it, like when we say television industry or a film industry or a new media industry, it's actually is defined by the device.
Right.
When we say TV industry, it doesn't mean that the industry is about TV shows. It's actually the device called TV,
Correct.
which you are consuming. I'm not talking smart TV. I'm talking analog TV, which used to be. It can be films,
Yes.
it can be sports, it can be film show, it can be TV shows, it can be live events, whatever. What again they delivered through that device called TV is actually the TV industry. Okay. So now new media is again by new devices. It can be mobile, it can be desktop, it can be pad, touch pads, or it can be even TV, because there are smart TVs which are same as any other screens. Okay, so now what's happening to this industry is that the technology through which it gets delivered, it's changing rapidly. Okay, it now across every devices. When we started television or when we started feature film, it used to be use a technology which was the print technology. Okay, like where there were print rolls. Now it has become UFO, digital. Now it is cube. All the technologies have changed. Now if you're TV, it used to be, what we called it terrestrial, like our old days Doordarshan. Okay, it used to have antennas, that's called terrestrial.
Right.
That was the technology. Right. Then came the technology of cable and satellite, where up to a point, there will be satellite transmission through which after that the cable operators will release the signal. Then came DTH. Now you have telco technologies about 5Gs and 4Gs delivering the same content. Okay. Similarly, if you across the board, okay, for mobile, it was 3G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. These are all technologies, it changes. Now, what happens is that whenever there is a device and the technology changes, the way people consume content or the definition of free time, as I said, it completely changes. When you used to travel by bus was not a part of a free time, but now it has become a part of free time because you have a mobile in your hand and you have a 4G technology to deliver content. Now that has become free time because you are free, at that point of time. So what happens is this technology and devices continuous changing is actually keeps the content producers, which we are at the center of it. We have to constantly reinvent and redesign ourselves because the way the content is consumed, the type of content, the genre of content, the time in which the content is consumed, it keeps on changing. Now, if you really look at it, if you see that does anything stop? to me nothing stops. Actually everything is an add-on. So to me
Yes.
as a viewer is watching films on theater halls, watching films through in Netflix and also on my mobile. So I'm actually traveling across various screens and watching. The same consumer is watching, may not be the same thing, may not be the same way. So then this concept about when there is a VOD, video on demand kind of a content, the concept of binging started. Okay.
Right.
And so every change in technology also changes the human behavior to a content consumption, which by and large it start influencing about what kind of content, duration of content, genre, the way content is done, it changes. So to summarize or to this, like we in the media industry are actually and the always on the edge about a constant change. Okay.
That's true.
So what I believe is that we as an industry will be far more, it will be easier for us to quickly change our thought processes, because we have been constantly changing, over the last few years. Okay. So that way we are okay. It's a, we like when I started the journey in the media industry, it was still Blockbuster who is to deliver your DVDs, or over here Sarvodaya of the world is to deliver DVDs. But now I've come to a situation, it's the same me over 20-year period. I've come to a situation where I'm getting into streaming. So I've got used to it. So actually 20 years have been a lot of changes which has happened. Now the point is, now we with this COVID-19, I personally believe that there will be, if I have to look at life in actually two phases. Okay. One phase will be what I believe in will be actually medium term impact. I'm not talking about the short term impact about I have to function with lesser number of crews. I have to, those were all temporary. It will go off in 3 to 6 months time. It's all world will not exist like this, that people cannot talk to each other, people cannot meet each other. The fear will remain. People will take time to go back to the theater halls. People will, it's the question of how much time. Is it 6 months? Is it 3 months? Is it 1 year? But this will be temporary. So we have to be ready that the business adaptability of FY 2021 has to take care of that adaptability. Okay. But I believe that's temporary. So I'm not going to dwell too much into it, but I believe that there will be two phases. One is a 2 to 3 year impact, and is the post 3 year impact, which is in the post 3 year impact. What I believe in that it has made certain fundamental changes to the way content is produced, consumed, and the genre. Okay, so let's talk about say the short term one. Short term means in a 2 to 3 year situation, that what's going to happen in
Right.
So now in a very, very short time, it's a very weird situation. Actually, television viewership has grown over 43%. Okay.
Yes.
Actually, TV, because people are sitting at home, they're watching. The subscriptions, I'm sure subscription, though there are no official figures which have been given, subscription of any of these OTT platforms, I'm sure has accelerated multiple times in the last 4 weeks. 100%. Nobody is giving out the data yet, but I'm sure that the number of hours or the way the binging is happening. Previously, there were hardly any binging used to happen in the afternoon. Now I'm sure that there are things happening in the afternoon also, in the morning also, because this is a normal time. People are stuck in their houses, they have nothing else to do, so they will consume content. Okay, so now, but whilst the content consumption has gone up tremendously, but the business or the revenue associated with it is a disaster. Television industry, as you know, depend on a lot of advertising revenue. No advertisers are advertising. So while there is a lot of content consumption is happening, there is no business. Because why should any brand advertise today? Because anyway, it's a high demand, low supply situation. There is no point of advertising. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and they're not able to supply. So where is the brand building? What is it? It's a complete waste of money. So imagine when there is it's very weird time when the consumption has gone up, but there's no revenue. So we might say that thing. So we hope that this now the point is that the content consumption, what will be have a positive impact. I'll come into a little later. Okay. Now the good thing is that the crisis, and as we say that every crisis is the mother of invention, the crisis have allowed people to look at things which we have been resisting for a long time. Okay, so when your demonetization happened, people looked at digital money transfer in a very, because that was almost survival at that point of time. Okay,
Yes.
so now people are now, what are those things which is actually making people believe that which will have a longer impact? Okay, let's talk about one by one. The talent contributing from their home, like being shot at home, things, it was unimaginable. You can't go to a big talent and say, I'm going to shoot you at your home, and that camera will be maybe held by an unprofessional, maybe your son, daughter, son, wife, whatever. May not be
Yes.
and the direction will happen virtually. I
Right.
can't believe that people would have accepted it. People are accepting today. You
Yes.
must have seen a Sony film which was entirely shot by,
Yeah.
held by unprofessional camera people, being virtually directed by somebody over a video conference, and the talents
Correct.
are perfectly okay with it.
Absolutely. It's a
Now,
family film.
no, absolutely, there's the family people who were actually holding those cameras. I can't
Yes.
believe that they would have allowed it, and it has come wonderfully well. Now,
Yes.
this is one behavior I think people will start thinking, hey, it's possible. It's not so bad. It's actually good. Okay. So this I believe is a behavioral change about it. Like in office situation, we used to fly, like the clients used to call us for a, from my office is in, is an extreme western suburb in a Malad. Now I used to get
Right.
called from town for exactly half an hour meeting and say, now I don't think I will travel. So let's do over video call. Why
Video
am I
call. Right.
okay? Even I have gone for meetings to outside the city. I'll be traveling to Chennai or any other city for just a 1 hour meeting. I don't
Right.
think I'll agree to it next time. Okay, so
Right.
there are certain and people will not also assume. People will be okay with some
Yeah.
people on video, some people physically present. I think
Right.
people will be okay with it now. Okay, so in
Right.
the sense, so this that. So similarly, like people functioning from home and we not being together can co-create content, by be it a brainstorming discussion. I think every day we spend about 2 to 3 hours on narration of stories on video call.
That's great.
And these
That's
days
great.
we do not even use videos because looking at each other is distracting. We actually keep the
Distracting.
video off.
Right.
Let the audio be
Right.
on, and okay. So the point is, so some of this content making processes will, certain things which was an absolute no will become possible. I'm not saying on all, but in some cases it will become, which is a great thing. Okay, like
Correct.
online education, not a part of my industry, but it was an absolute no. Like if my son or daughter's teacher said that I'm not feeling well, I will do my class over Zoom, I would have freaked out. Today I will not freak out. I'll say, okay,
You'll be fine.
that's better. I'm
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
You do it over Zoom or any other video sharing device.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So the adaptability and innovation, I think adaptability is the point. It has really fast-paced adaptation of technology, fast-paced adaptation of certain norms. I think we have to take it in the spirit of it and the best things and actually not leave it. Even if
Very true.
when things become normal, you please do
Yes.
not leave it. Use it. Okay. Now where will the stress come out in the next 2 to 3 years? If you ask
Yeah.
me that where will I find stress? Okay, in business, my biggest stress will be the fundamental revenue of most of the channels or platforms will go through a massive hit in the next 1 to 2 years. Okay,
That's true.
pure revenue part of it. The moment the revenue will be hit, I will be asked that you have to give out compelling storytelling at a far lesser cost. So please find out ways and means. So that is in the next 1, 2, 3 years. is one of the big thing we have to see. How do we re-engineer, doing value engineering into processes, into storytelling, into everything, the whole gamut of it, and which fundamentally is driven towards cost reduction. So let me tell it one by one. Okay. Which was saying that Indians, we do not multitask in our production processes. If you go through any crew, the crew sizes are 200, 250 in number. That I personally believe it is because we are not specialists. We have become too specialist. There will be a light man's boys who are holding and whose only job is to do only one thing. I think multitasking will be the game that you will not be able to afford such a big crew. You have to take precautionary measures and all that kind of things. I think that is number one. Number two is that for the writers, you cannot write elaborate scenes. You will be challenged to write dramatic scenes without without being too elaborate. Okay.
Correct.
This is my constant fight with writers. When you are writing two people talking, why are you putting that whole scene in a rest course where horses are going by? And why can't you put it in a restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there will be a huge challenge with writers because of the production. Okay. So that's number two. The directors, and the things will have to deliver more footage per day. Across the board, there will be huge things, and all the equipment vendors, there will be all the rates will be in a southward bound services, any kind of services. So next 2 to 3 years will be a challenging time. If you cannot deliver at lower cost, you may have gone out of the market. Okay, so that's I think. Yes, Sandeep.
Yeah. So I want to be a little selfish here. So that's why I kind of raise my hand so that Bhargavi doesn't take this space. So my question is.
Thank you, Sandeep.
So I come from. So one of the areas that I work in is intellectual properties, and so I want your kind of insights on that side. That now, given this scenario, this will kind of, as you rightly pointed out, it won't settle down quite easily. It will take some time, 6 months, 8 months down the line, kind of, it will take some time to settle down that way. So in this period of time, people who are into this intellectual property space or the creative space of creating stories or properties for that matter, now the digital is going to be the platform where you can release your property or kind of make your properties go live as a platform rather than the offline medium. So any insights or any pro tips on how do you, because talent is there, talent is also waiting. It's not that they are getting huge amounts of work outside somewhere, because they're also kind of waiting for the situation to kind of settle down and they'll go out and travel and do their work. So what is your pro tip? How can a person who is from this side of the side, who's trying to create intellectual properties now, can think of creating some kind of property where talents can be put together and then brands can come together when they feel that, okay, there is enough value for me to put some monies behind it because it's going digital, plus there is some important talent also a part of it, and then that can be leveraged over a period of time. So I believe that give a lifeline to some.
I don't have an answer about crystal ball gazing about how it's going to evolve, what kind of content, but there are 2-3 things. One is that there will be platforms will be experimenting much more. Okay, when there is there will be 2-3 things. Okay, so there will be a challenge into the digital platforms, how to keep on bringing back the viewer base. Okay, Amazon, Netflix, those kind of platforms function with that. It's not appointment viewing. It is about my pure content. It is about you can watch it anytime, anywhere. Okay, so they're on a library in a longer time frame. Okay, so that will be one kind of platforms. There will be a segregation of the content consumption across platforms. All platforms will not be similar. There will be a segmentation which will happen. I can distinctly see the evolving of a set of platforms which will not focus on library content, but will focus on content which keeps on bringing back viewers, time and again. Okay, so there are experimentations happening in one side. It is the broadcaster led kind of all the platforms. Okay, all the broadcaster led platforms used to do that in a particular, but they will really step it up at a far higher level. Okay, let me take you some cases like when we do KBC. Sony Live has a huge thing about play along and this, and I can see that whole thing will take another it will create another set of content. It will be a content on content kind of a situation.
Correct.
It will be just not one play along. Okay, similarly, they say Hotstar did a lot of things across IPL, that you watch it together, you bet, you do this, you guess. Okay, so there was a content on content. Okay, if you go to Voot, there will be a huge content on content on when Big Boss is happening. Okay, so there will be a huge focus on what you can call it extra content, you can call it ancillary content across your big TV shows around that. Okay, so there will be where people like you will create like almost parallel IPs on some core IPs. Okay, so that is one side that's definitely going to happen. Similarly, people will try to figure out certain type of content which almost like not as an appointment viewing like television, like at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, but at least on a daily basis you visit the platform once. Flipkart Video is experimenting with such. There is a show by Manish Paul. Where you come, you guess certain questions. If you are within the poll, you will answer. So there is a kind of experiment. They have also a kind of a home talent with. So these kind of experiment have. That's right. So these kind of experiment. The good news is that when the previously if the propensity of a platform programming person of experimenting with content, if it was on a scale of 1 to 10 was 3 4, I can see it will go up to 7 8. They will experiment with more so for 2, because it fundamentally gives them 2 things. One, because it gives them traction. Okay, the user flow inside the platform goes up. B, that these are all cheap and cheerful. This will not be expensive. Okay. Now, somebody had told me, these are not my words. He said that today, the day about it, on one side, initially you had user-generated content on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this has been actually taken little forward, not little, but much more forward by TikTok, where they say, okay, I will help you in the video making. So the video making has become far more innovative and far more kind of things. Okay, so that's where the thing is. Now imagine, now people say that now imagine content which is TikTok meets Indian Idol.
Right.
Okay. So the thing is about how you can evolve shows which has the snackiness and the rawness of user generation and meets with curated, professionally generated content. So one of the things people will be experimenting in, that what is this genre which will evolve, where it actually TikTok meets Indian Idol for the digital platform. Okay, so maybe it will be confined to all the big properties, unscripted show properties which you will have across all the platforms, be it Z, be it Star, across languages. Okay, the next bit of it is think vernacular. The problem is whenever we begin to think, we think English and maybe Hindi, because we are all Bombay based. But the point is the digital adaptation has been so strong across the country. Now, and I was one of the biggest proponents of vernacular starting from my Asian Paints days. I always believed that the future in the country lies in its small towns. Okay, starting from my cricket team to my television channels to even digital. Okay, if you really look at your cricket team, it actually shows you where your future lies. They have come from. You don't know where they have come from. Okay. Now the point is that now multi-language content and the adaptability into multiple languages at the same time will be another direction which we can take. Like one content consumption in my own languages at the same time, it will be definitely a winning formula, which was not there so far. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because most of these platforms are multi languages platform. Okay,
Correct.
I can think that where I can believe that there where the directionally where the experiments is going to happen, but we don't know finally where it's settled. But yes, it will definitely evolve a genre of content which will coexist with my present feature film television content. So it will this COVID has actually fast paced
Yes.
the production or creation of such content. It could have come 2 3 years later, because I believe
Yes.
this situation has just accelerated that process into creation of
Fantastic.
content.
Okay, sir.
Absolutely. I think, Indranil, what you're saying, of so many of the points, which are absolutely resounding with what our session is all about. It's about the silver linings that this kind of a situation has brought about, right? From adaptability of people, adaptability of work, and work in all its forms, to content that you rightly pointed out and said. So both Sandeep and I are big believers of the storytelling format in business. Both of us come from entrepreneurial experience, and we use storytelling as a technique sometimes in terms of discussing situations with clients, in terms of bagging deals with clients as well. So since you I think are the perfect marriage of the two. You are in a very creative business and you come from a background of a management. So how does the combination, the marriage of storytelling with business happen for you? And do you think it's in the DNA of a person who does this, or is this a kind of craft that one can pick up while they're
Yes,
in this?
yes. I personally believe that our education system, it is not about this boardroom. It's not about corporate. Any communication is far easier when it's in the form of storytelling or in the video form. Okay.
Right.
You know, at some point of time, I wanted to launch certain platforms, and it's already been launched. You know, some people have always continuously, starting from a school days. When why does certain people love certain teachers, and certain things which you love and you remember far more than thing.
Yes.
It's all about
Yes.
how the medium of instruction and storytelling and video medium of instruction, or visual medium of instruction, is far stronger than just written words. Okay.
Right.
So to that
Right.
extent, and fortunately, we are in the business of it. So if you really look at our presentations when we give shows, it always have some pictures. It will always have some things which will hardly have any written material, because
Yes.
as the saying goes, a picture speaks far more than 1,000 words.
Thousand
Okay,
words.
so
Yes.
sometimes one slide will have. So I personally believe that the question is how do you adapt it into what form you want to say. I personally believe that yes, there is a huge. If you are talking from an HR perspective, you are talking from any other leadership training perspective. I think the biggest challenge also it happens about, do you really have a storyteller in your team who can create this content? I think that's where the big problem.
All right.
Okay, now I must tell you there's another thing which will answering Sandeep's question, because the content creation fundamentally it used to be happen between people who were traditionally create contents either for television or film. Okay, now with this digital where interactivity, when UI UX will have a greater role in this. I think in the team for development or the team for thinking through, you need technology people, you need UI UX people, you need people who understands the product managers as they call it. I think that is going to be the biggest challenge. The problem is when a only creative, when a creative means, when a traditionally creative people from television or film create this content, they will create a content which will be like a TV show, and then you bung in some interactivity and things like that. You
Yes.
will not think TikTok. Okay, you will never think
Right.
TikTok.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
so that's the challenge. I think the challenges will be on the constituency, especially for people like us. We are a big organization within that what do I call it? What is the composition of the team or the skill set which can create this content? I believe there is a space for technology, graphic designers, UI UX designer, product managers to be an integral part of the development process. So it will be a hugely collaborative process. And if you
All
really
right.
look at, and I know we are running out of time, if you really look at like all the people who have actually been successful on the, especially on the on the technology form, had actually a very strong creative bent of mind. One of the things which Steve Jobs was very successful, he was actually a calligraphy artist. Okay,
Yes.
he utilized that into this design of all the initial Apple iMacs and all that stuff, and the way, so that where human interaction becomes far more easier, where engineering meets design and meets art. So
Yeah.
similarly over here, where the creativity has to meet technology, and then you will have, a la whatever Instagram or things, and then only you can create that. Okay, so you cannot create with only fundamentally writers and creative people, because you need to understand how humans, how kids or any user interact with a machine, and the consumption which happens. So
Absolutely.
that's
I think
the
spot
point.
on. Spot on. Absolutely. It's a collaborative effort for sure. Whenever it comes to storytelling, you're absolutely right. So, Indranil will take you through the questions. There's an ask a question column right in the bottom of your screen. So, if you just click
Mhm.
on it, you'll get a couple of questions that have been mentioned there. I think there are 5 of them.
Five of
So,
them.
I'd
That's
like,
right.
yes, I'd like you to choose any 2 of them and see if you could, share an answer for that. And we can probably get the person on board probably to share the screen with you to ask a
Okay,
question
there's a
directly.
question. I've actually done something called what genre of content will be criticized
During
during this
pandemic.
pandemic. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Let
Yes.
me. I'm not answer it in criticize. Let me turn it
Okay.
around and say, this is something which is my now. I fill up a lot of my time into studying about the past history. That there is a learning from history, and there is some very interesting things. And I want to share this whole. So I
Sure.
actually went through all the crisis in the world in the last 100 odd years, and see that what has happened onto content consumption or a show or popular shows post that. Okay,
Right. Right.
and I started with the hypothesis saying that post crisis people will like humor, people will like sitcom, people will like light-hearted stuff, people will not like to see. So let me share. I'll not answer that question, but I'll answer something which kind of shows will become popular,
Okay.
and it's very weird thing which actually happened post World War and post Depression and also post 2010 stock market crash. Okay, and one of the now I'm not sort of come to a conclusion, but the initial things actually first and foremost people went back into watching a more number of, like, they went back to theaters, they watched more television. Okay, that's the I think it gives them relief, a source of escapism, that
Yeah.
now all goes obviously on the digital or TV, basically consumption content over that. But at the same time they were spending less money on it, because especially in India there will be a huge thing towards saving. People will
Yes.
stop blocking money, because they will not spend, because they don't know what the next 2 3 years future, whether I have a
Correct.
job, whether my salary will go up, go down, whatever it is. So there will be but there will be an increase. Now what kind of things, now at least in the West, now this is a US phenomenon, I don't know whether it'll get replicated in India. In US, even post 2010, the heroes of the story became very dark bunch of people. Okay, who were
Yeah.
this bunch of people? Who the people actually were, who were actually morally unethical. Okay,
Yes.
but they were, because they were hit so badly during this crisis, there was a life-changing event which happened, and they were fighting against that life-changing event, and but they were morally not right, but people love those characters. I don't know, maybe the bunch of viewers, I don't know the psychological aspect behind it, you feel cheated, that how come this one virus, so the point is that this is a life changing thing for me, so I'll rebel against it, but at the same time I'm rebelling against that, how do I come out of it, how do I solve this, the problem. Case in point, with this say, now this is one of the studies, say that post 2010, the kind of TV shows or the digital shows which become popular are actually Breaking Bad. Or,
Yeah.
people who were morally unethical, but there was a life changing event. Similarly, things like, House of Cards, the kind of season they become more unethical day by day, and post depression, World War, also the similar kind of films which came, actually it became very great characters, the last one being Money Heist, where
Right.
all the characters are flawed, but obviously obviously they become very popular because because there was some life changing, so there was compassion on them because of that life changing event.
Empathy, yes.
So the empathy went up. So
Yes.
after every crisis, the empathy on people or your heroes who has gone through a life changing event, and when what they rebel against it to became very, very popular in the next 2-3 years. Post that, what happens is there is a lot of content which is created. Not post that 2-3 years period. So to answer this question about, maybe you will not like to see content about the crisis which you are going through right now. Okay, like World War movies became popular 10 years after the war was over, when people become normal. Okay, till today we are still consuming the valor, the rivalry. It was pretty dark, because we are not going through it. So one of the things which we'll not like to see, the stress which we are going through. But 3 years later, I can guarantee you, worldwide there'll be a dozens of shows, TV, film, otherwise, which will actually talk about the
This
good
period.
side, the bad side of this period. It's a gold mine now.
Absolutely. For future writers, this is literally like a brief.
I'm sure people will have started writing across the globe. It's not like that. The good news is it's across the globe. Okay, so
it's across the globe. Yes, absolutely. So yes, Sandeep, should we take one more question, or should we go to the poll?
Yeah. So one of the questions has got 3 votes, the top one. So let's take that. What is the target audience and the type of content Sony will be focusing on for their online streaming platform?
I don't have the answer to it, because I don't manage that business. I don't want to overguess them, but forget about Sony. But every digital, there are 2-3 kinds of things. One definitely, like somebody was telling me, that in this few weeks, people have become more knowledgeable and intelligent. So I personally believe, across the thing, intelligent content will be the clamor of the day. Okay.
That's true.
So you might have a problem with big Hindi movies with it's not intellectual and things like that. One of the cases. So now this is my personal take. I think intelligent content, as I said, if the World War or a 2000 post 2010 kind of a thing, content which is, yes, those kind of flawed heroes where a life changing event has happened and they are trying to fight back in a maybe in an unethical way. Okay, that's number two. TikTok meets Indian Idol 100%. There will be a kind of content which will live. Stepping up of all the extra or the ancillary content across the big content will be the name, where technology meets content. Be it Big Boss, be it Saregamapa, be it Indian Idol, be it KBC, be it any of this bunch of people, you will see a huge amount of things, how to engage the digital people beyond the thing. IPL and IPL, ISL, all these things, So there will be the content and content. Another thing which there may be things about either a feature in a thing or as a platform. I was looking through this platform called Cast, as in KAST, where it actually gives you a thing about you create your virtual groups and you watch an event together, or watch a film together, watch an event together. I thought it's a very, very interesting idea, where you actually are watching something together, not being physically present, which can be under directionally, maybe as a feature. These things will become very, very strong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think what you were mentioning was very similar to how we have the book clubs today. Like everybody shares a common book for the week and then comes back and discusses it. So I think the video class
virtual group formation, virtual, and the beauty of it is, it will not be, these groups will be very, very fluid in nature. It is like you go to a football field, and whoever sits around you, the 20 people around you, becomes a group. Okay, so it will be as flexible. You don't know each other. You might know each other. Some of them you know, some of them you don't know. I see my boys playing the games. I think gaming it's a huge kind of a business, both mobile and console gaming, and they will play together. They will share their experiences together. It's
absolutely. We do have some OTT based questions, but I think that should be for another time. And
Let's take the
because
If
poll.
the OTT space is regulated, how will be the impact on the production side? I think the only thing which will impact not the production side is first there will be. I personally believe it will all be self-regulated. That there will be like in the television industry, but it's more matured because there is a distinct advantage of OTT is that is behind the paywall. So if you are paying something, then you are choosing to watch. So majority of the content, the thing will be ahead of the paywall or behind the paywall. But yes, ahead of the paywall, people. It's a question of the makers, the writers, and the directors to be within those limits. Behind the paywall, which will be far more okay. It's individual choice, whatever they want to watch after paying that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have been running a poll through this entire session, Indranil. I wanted to just take you through that. So if you click on the poll title,
Yeah.
it'll open up and show you how much time do people spend catching online content was the question today, especially in the
How
current
much
times.
time do you spend? Do I
Yeah,
spend in catching online
online
content?
content.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Which
voted
would you choose out of these?
1 to 2 hours. I don't know.
2 hours. All right.
I
That
think
sounds
people
fair
have
enough.
been. I think participants have been very conservative and they are very shy. They haven't. I mean, I wake up and sleep. को कोई vote नहीं मिला.
Which is actually the truth, I think, in most cases. You wake up with WhatsApp and you go to bed with it. So that's also a form of digital content, people.
Actually, I was very way to put in. Somebody was asking me that how are you using this time to build new skill sets. I say, excuse me, I actually have no time. I'm overworked between
Yes.
house work
Yes.
and office work and suddenly there are no Saturdays, no Sundays. There is no
Yes.
time, and so
Yes.
There are additional
really
home
looking
duties.
forward to go back to office. At least there was an in time and an out time. Whatever however
Yes.
fluid it was because.
Absolutely.
Now I get calls on any time for any time of the day. We've lost track of the days. Okay, so but it's
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. Like Sandeep rightly said, he said, apart from these, we also have the home duties added on to it. So there's really no time to
The
breathe,
KRAs
basically.
have changed. The KRAs have changed.
No, the biggest thing people are facing, especially people with kids, are facing
Oh,
that the
yes.
kids are being given online tests and the parents have to make them
Have to
do
sit
it,
them.
scan it.
Yes.
So there are some lovely videos about people say that please up look mujhe
It's a nightmare.
please mat do
I'm That's
because there are no stationery shops open. What do you mean by get this chartboard? There is nothing open. Like how am I going to where my printer cartridge has gone out? How do I replace my cartridge? So please up samjha
So
karo
I'm that person. My cartridge is gone and there are no printouts, and my daughter keeps screaming that I need this printout. My teacher is asking me to do this. What are you doing?
All right, then.
That's right.
All right, great. So I think this brings us to our session, Indranil. And Sandeep, do you have some parting thoughts to summarize our discussion today?
So yeah, so I think we Indranil very well kind of articulated and kind of gave us a sense of from all the perspectives, be it from the point of view of the production side, where I mean, in terms of the entire industry has suffered a lot, and they are trying to come out of it. And he very well kind of encapsulated the part where the storytelling and how the consumption or the human behavior will change and will drive the change within the technology also going forward. So I believe it's. I hope it was a very nice session, because being creative people, both of us, it was a lovely session to have, and there are a lot of inputs for us to take back. And I'm sure that the audience would have taken a lot of inputs from this and taken some pointers back from the session. Just before we end, should we, Bhargavi, just ask on the chat if somebody wants to come live and ask anything? I mean, one question, if we have a
Sure.
2 minute thing, 2 minutes.
Yes. So we just can put one person to come live right away. I actually like the question that Kiran Goswami had asked. The
Okay.
one which was talking about what kind of content will get criticized in this pandemic, and of course,
Yeah.
Indranil gave a
Let's get
nice twist to that.
Kiran.
So
Let's
if
try
Kiran's
Kiran.
available, we
Kiran.
should get him on board. Yeah, and give him
So
the
Kiran, can
opportunity.
you put on the chat if you're okay? We are inviting you. So
are you in a place where you can come on video?
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
just
we can
inviting
video.
you.
Okay,
So you might have got an invite.
yes. There. Okay. He said surely. Go ahead.
So I believe we're connecting with Kiran.
Okay. Yes,
Hey,
there we are.
Kiran.
Hi, Kiran.
Good evening.
Hey,
Good evening.
welcome on board.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So there's one
So
question that was running in my mind, like while you were answering the previous question I asked. If you have no issues, may I ask that?
Yes.
yeah, this is
Sir,
ask anything section. You can ask anything. It's fine.
yeah. So, sir, you talked about how like Breaking Bad and House on Cards, all these gained some kind of, they were popular among people. So I wanted to ask if after the pandemic, this anti-hero concept will gain some kind of popularity or it will drain down. Like currently it is very popular, the anti-hero concept. So will it gain some popularity?
See, everything is about empirical, historical things. So if one has to go back and see that what kind of things actually work, nobody can tell with certainty that what will happen. Uh,
That's
but it was observed that yes, after typically after a crisis, people feel a little cheated. People believe that they are, they have to go through extreme hard measures. So what they believe is that this is a life-changing incident for them. God forbid this life-changing doesn't leave a very, very, I'm sure to a major part of the population, it will be pretty horrific because, and especially, after war or after economic crisis, which is that are people who go through real struggle. When that happens, you feel little cheated, and you're okay with people who are have gone through life changing, and they're rebelling, and for a cause. Okay, so it was just historical. It was given in one or two or three articles, but you cannot tell with certainty. This is a creative business. Nobody can say that what's going to happen. So people were okay with anti-heroes, or people were okay with whatever you call it, with this. So that was one of the trend which was observed, but nobody knows what's going to happen in here. But digital, by and far, also, the digital community, like people in a more reality, and in real, people are more gray. Okay, it's a question about, they're not like black and white. So people are gray normally. And by the way, I believe in, if I can tell anybody's stories in a very, very gray fashion, everybody's life has a huge gray side. It's a question of what lens you look through.
yes.
So
Thank you so much, sir.
everybody's life has got a gray side. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kiran. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thank
us.
you, ma'am. Thank you.
That was very, very well put, Indranil. I think, like you rightly said, it's just the lens that you use to see each person's life. And with that, we want to thank you for giving your precious time to us today. And on such short notice, thank you very much for being a part of this session. We had a wonderful time. I can speak only for Sandeep and myself, and the smiles on our faces would tell you enough about how we've really enjoyed ourselves through this entire discussion. And how was your experience, Indranil?
Oh, fantastic. I really loved, and thank you very much, Bhargavi and Sandeep, to invite me. It was a real fresh to speak to people and to tell your perspective is always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. And to all the audience who joined us today, thank you very much for tuning in. You can actually catch all these updates. You can even catch this video after the session is over. It'll be available on the Crowdcast platform we're on, and also on www.insiderseries.biz. Stay tuned to us. We're coming up with another session coming this Friday on the 28th, and we'll be talking more about the digital space. So until then, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye. Take care.